What's going on, guys? Got a pretty cool tier list video for today. We're going to be ranking all the players from the Mighty Ducks movies. As you guys can see, I'm rocking the Charlie Conway jersey right now. I was a huge fan of the movies as a kid. I think I watched each one, 4 or 5 times. D3 probably like 10 plus. I remember it being my favorite. And if you guys didn't know, next week actually, the new Mighty Ducks series is coming out on Disney Plus. I'm very excited for that. They actually have some of the old players returning to the series, so can't wait to see whether or not it's good. I know I'm not a kid anymore, so I'm also curious if I'm gonna enjoy it or not. I was actually thinking I might review each episode, so let me know in the comments section if that's something you guys would be interested in. But getting started now with this tier list, the first player on the list is Adam Banks. And without a doubt, he is S tier, by far the best player on this team. I think the best move Coach Bombay ever made was finding out that Adam Banks' house was actually in the Ducks district and not the Hawks. Obviously stealing their best player. What a 4D chess move. And yeah, Charlie Conway's the captain. Adam Banks, though, is the best player on this team, the most skilled. If it was like a real life team, he's probably the only player with a chance of going to the show and playing in the NHL. Honestly, I feel like the only bad thing you could say about Adam Banks is the fact that he gets injured a lot, but even then, he tried playing through the pain, which shows he's got a lot of heart, and like I said, 100% worthy of the S tier on this list. Next up, I just mentioned him, Charlie Conway, the captain. The leader of this team, tons of heart, the guy who perfected the triple deke. Not as good as Adam Banks, though, and there actually might even be some other players on this team better than Charlie, but again, he's the captain of this team for a reason. Obviously, he's not perfect, which is why I have him in the A tier. He's a little hot-headed at some times, doesn't play that much defense. I remember in D3, he went all the way down trying to score an empty netter. The puck was inches shy, and then it caused the other team to surge back and score 7 or 8 straight goals. Only in a Disney movie that would happen, but as I mentioned, true leader. In D2, he gave up his spot on the team for Banks to come back, in which case, obviously, they went on to win. I think Banks had a couple goals in that game. So, like I said, true leader, deserves nothing less than the A tier. Now, next year on the list, we have Connie Moreau. She was actually in all 3 movies. For her, I'm thinking B or C tier. Probably B tier, because she was on the team, all 3 years, so she's a, decent player. Definitely not one of the top players, but I really don't think there's too many things wrong in her game. I feel like for Connie, B is a good one. Now, this next guy on the list is Dave Carp. Honestly, I had to Google his name because I forgot what it was. He's not the worst player ever to play for the Mighty Ducks, but he's pretty bad. He was only in the first movie. So I'm going to put him in the E tier. I think that's pretty fair. Also, too, guys, when I was Googling, I saw this picture from the original Mighty Ducks movie. I thought it was so funny. This could 100% be an album cover. I just love how tough they're trying to look, so thought I'd share that with you guys. And next year on the list, guys, we have Dean Portman, one of the 2 Bash brothers, the team's enforcer. He's definitely not scared of anyone. The Ducks a lot of times get into pretty physical games. The thing is, he takes some dumb penalties. You guys have seen, I think it was D3, he completely strips down the penalty box. He does bring a good element to the Ducks game, though. Like I said, he brings that edge, brings the toughness. Doesn't really score much, though. I think he's got a pretty powerful slap shot, but it's not used too many times. So, for me, it's a B or a C. And I feel like all the dumb penalties and everything, it's got to go C for me. You definitely need him on your team, but he's not one of the better players. And after him, we got Dwayne Robertson, the team cowboy. He's got some of the sickest hands on this team. It might be the best hands. So he's at least a B. Now, I know in most of the movies, he's a bit of a showboat, which sometimes costs some. He's not usually one of the guys scoring the most. So I think it's an A or a B for me. I'm going to go with B for him. I think that's pretty fair. Maybe just a little bit underneath the A. Next here we have Fulton Reed. I feel like, he's another one of the team's top players. Definitely an A. Not only is he one of the Bash brothers, so he's hitting guys, bringing that physical game, but he's also got a crazy powerful slap shot. He's actually playing, pretty good hockey. He doesn't take as many dumb penalties as Dean Portman. So, yeah, definitely the team's #1 defenseman, worthy of the A tier. Goldberg's up next. Goldberg's a tough one because Goldberg's a multi-positional player. If you guys have seen all 3 movies, he doesn't just play goalie, he also plays defense. He can throw the hit as well. He kind of became the unsung 3rd Bash brother in the final movie. In terms of a goalie, though, he's really not that great. I feel like Goldberg, as much as we love him, he's probably C tier. In terms of a goalie, he's not the best goalie. He lost his position to Julie the Cat. And in terms of being a player, he was just, okay. And next up, guys, we have number 00, Guy Jermaine, who might be the most underrated player on the Mighty Ducks. He was good in all 3 movies. He did get injured, I know, in D3. I might have been focusing on Connie more than the game at some points, but still a very good player. I think he had 3 assists or something in the final game of D2. So I'm going to put him in the A tier. I think he is just as good a player and as important to the team as Fulton Reed, as Charlie Conway. And next up, guys, we have Jesse Hall. And although he wasn't in the third movie, he's still one of the best players in the first two. Scores a good amount, doesn't get injured, doesn't really have too many negatives to his game apart from a bad attitude sometimes. So honestly, for him, I'm thinking he's A-list as well. I feel like he's on par with the other three in that tier. And next year, guys, we have Julie the Cat Gaffney, the other goalie on the Mighty Ducks. Definitely better than Goldberg, without a doubt. For me, she's A tier, B tier, but I feel like her clutchness to come into the final shootout of D2 and stop the best player of the tournament in Gunnar Stahl gives her that A tier boost. Honestly, I was mentioning, Bombay's best move being getting Banks on the team. His worst move was probably ever starting Goldberg or Julie the Cat. Clearly, she's the better goalie. And next year, guys, we have Ken Wu. He was in both D2 and D3. Former Olympic figure skater, so the best skater on this team for sure. But in terms of being a hockey player, it was pretty average. So I feel like if it wasn't for his skating ability, he's probably D. But with that, it pushes him up to C. I don't think he's as good a player as Connie or Dwayne Robertson. So C tier probably fits for him. Then after him, guys, you have Averyman, who's in all three movies. Definitely wasn't one of the Ducks' better players, but he was like the team clown, so definitely the guy lighting up the locker room. I think C's fair for him. Maybe B if you really want to count, like, the fact he was the team comedian, but in terms of the skill, I feel like Averyman definitely fits in on C. Louis Mendoza here. So he was the fastest skater on the team, but he couldn't stop. Ends up being an okay player. I feel like just because of the speed, I'm going to put him as a D. Definitely better than Carp. I mean, I actually remembered his name for one. Then after him, guys, you have Peter Mark. I'm not going to lie, I had to Google this dude's name. He was only in the first movie, and he's just a little piece of shit, to be honest. I mentioned how Averyman was like the team comedian, running court, as the Spittin' Chicklets guys might say. Peter Mark was the opposite, like a team cancer. I'm putting him in the F tier. Didn't have a lot of skill. Just a little, smart mouth dude. I think he's probably the only F tier player here, but he's going F. And after him, you got Russ Tyler. He was in both D2 and D3. Mighty Ducks brought him in for his amazing slap shot, of course. The knuckle puck is his baby. So I feel like even though he's a bit of a one-trick pony with the knuckle puck is just such an OP shot. He's got to be in B tier. I mean, there's no stopping that. But he's definitely not a good enough all-around player to be on the A tier. After him, you have Tammy Duncan. She was a former figure skater, so she's a decent skater, but in terms of a hockey player, not great. So probably similar to Mendoza. He's, of course, really fast, can't stop. She's a figure skater, so she's pretty agile and stuff, but again, the hockey skill just isn't really there. Then after her, you have Terry Hall, who's Jesse Hall's brother. For whatever reason, though, he's only in the first movie, even though Jesse was in D1 and D2. We don't really see too much of him, but he looks okay. I mean, the fact that he's Jesse Hall's brother means he's probably decent, even though we only got to see one movie from him. Definitely no lower than E. I'm thinking probably D, the one girl's a figure skater, the other guy can't stop. I feel like, D's pretty fair. And then finally here we have another sibling, Tommy Duncan. This is Tammy Duncan's brother. He's not a very good player, but I wouldn't say he's a cancer like Peter Mark, so I feel like E tier is probably fair for him. So there you go, guys. These are my rankings for the Mighty Ducks players. I feel like they're pretty solid, to be honest. I think, it's pretty fair with every single one. Again, you only got one S tier player, one F. Everyone else is kind of in between A and E. So we'll check the community rankings here, see what everyone else thought. So this guy, Adam Banks has his own tier. I love that. I think Great's the same 5. They have Conway and Still Good. Again, I think Conway is just too good of a leader to kind of have him that low. But the rest there, I think, pretty much the same. Adam Banks, not in his own tier. That's interesting. He does have Peter Mark though at the lowest. Looks like this guy actually made 6 different tiers. We're just going to go off the first one we looked at. Finally, looks like this girl here. She's got Conway, Banks, Goldberg, Russ Tyler, Portman, Fulton Reed in the A tier, the love tier. Like a lot, okay. Doesn't really stand out to me. Jermaine, 00 in the lowest tier. Below Peter Mark, she liked a lot. Yeah, definitely not sure about that one, but there you have it, guys. That is it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, leave that thumbs up. If you guys have not subscribed yet, make sure you do that. And as I mentioned before, guys, let me know in the comments section you want to see me do some reviews or whatever once the new series comes out on Disney+. I think that could be a lot of fun. But as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.